Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. In today's vlog, I'm going to talk to you about my experience this past week in the South Bronx. I went to a place called the Bronx Defenders to learn, to be better at cross-examination. That helps me, therefore it helps you. So let me tell you a little bit about the Bronx Defenders. I don't know when they were created. I know they're in the South Bronx, 161st Street. And it's run by a woman by the name of Karen Smoller. I believe she's their chief trial attorney, as well as the person in charge of their training programs. And I met Karen Smoller out in Macon, Georgia at an event called the NCDD, which is basically a week-long event for attorneys to train to become better attorneys. It goes over everything from the interview with your client to direct examination. From interview with your client to opening, direct, cross-examination, closing. It really goes from A through Z for what you need to do to be prepared for trial. And it's not a lecture. It's a hands-on. You're standing up in a courtroom, courtroom/classroom setting where you're standing up and you're doing. You're not watching. I'm a big believer. When I played football, the person who gets the most reps gets better, right? They become the starter. They become the winner. They become the go-to guy because they've done it time and time again. That's what this program teaches. Other CLE courses, training for attorneys, you're sitting in a lecture room and you're going, okay, well, that's great. And you might learn some things. I'm not saying you don't learn anything, but the stand-up approach where you're practicing an actual case, except there's no risk to the client. So I met Karen Smoller there. So let me tell you a little bit about Karen Smoller and my unique encounter with her. That morning when I was in NCDD, going back 6 months ago, she was a lecturer, and she was lecturing on a topic. And the topic, a lot of the things that you find in teaching is there's folks that are very left-wing, right? Democrats and Republicans. It's not a political thing, but you find certain things or beliefs or core values. And I remember thinking, wow, this woman's really left, and I'm kind of right. I mean, not kind of, I'm right. Right-wing guy, I guess, in my thinking. I listened to her speak and I go, wow, I probably would never have anything in common with this woman, Karen Smoller. Well, after the lecture, we divided up into our classrooms and our courtrooms. And guess who's my instructor for that day? Karen Smoller. And the topic that day that we were going over was cross-examination. So we had a mock trial on a case, and it was a domestic violence case where our client was charged with killing her husband. So Karen said, any volunteers want to go first? Look, I've been doing this, at that point, about 10, 11 years. Now I'm in 11, 12 years. And I said, sure, I'll go first. Because I'm thinking, I'm pretty good at this stuff. I win a lot of cases and I help a lot of people. I mean, I'm confident. I'm cocky. I'm arrogant a little bit. I'm all of those things. So I get up and I start to do it, and Karen Smoller interrupts me. And she goes, I need you to do it the way, you were just lectured and what the training is teaching you to do. I go, I don't really know how to do it that way. I just know how to do it my way because, quite frankly, my way is pretty good. And she goes, okay. And she whispers to the witness. And when I say witness, what I mean is there's a hired actor, who plays that role. So they know all the facts of the case and they memorize it. And they're that witness. So she tells the witness a couple things out of my earshot. And I start my cross-examination. Boom, boom, boom. Except the boom, 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 I got punched in the face 3 times. I crashed, I burned, I collapsed. And I went up in flames, as they say. Basically, I got my ass handed to me. So she explained to me, okay, you got your shot. You may think I'm an idiot, but these are proven techniques. We've been doing this a while. You can either take what I give you and learn from it, or you can potentially crash and burn and let your clients go to prison. Whew, talk about an embarrassing moment. I ate the humble pie. I looked at her, and look, I'm sure I was, I already have a stern looking face. Okay. So she said, look, you can learn from these techniques and get better or not. Well, I chose to get better. I did some research on her. I listened to the other instructors at the, at this thing in NCDD in Macon, Georgia. And I found that a lot of the professors, a lot of people, including Karen Smoller, were from the Bronx Defenders. And that Karen was the chief attorney there, trial attorney, and that she was a hell of an attorney. And I also noticed that a lot of people that were going through there, I mean, we're talking about accolades. We're talking about people with degrees from Harvard University and other outstanding colleges. And I said, you know what? Like, she humbled me. And, of course, at the moment, you don't always feel good when you're humbled. But when you reflect on things, you go, you know what? The person that beat you, you want to get better. You want to know that person. You want to understand. So I did a little research, and I knew that she did this training, but the training's usually only open to people in that area. Well, this year, they opened it up to private attorneys. I reached out. I called her. The class was already closed. She did me a huge courtesy and allowed me to come anyway. So this past weekend, I went to the Bronx, and I learned a lot. Every time, each professor during the 2 days, it's basically 8 hours of on your feet training. You're doing cross-examination with a multitude of different fact scenarios. We had one basic fact scenario that included, it was a molestation case. I don't want to bore you with that stuff. But there were a lot of reasons why the person could be lying. They could have been making this up, basically a 16, 17-year-old. So, we go into the cross-examination of the police officer, of the mother of the victim herself. We even have a sort of a witness that we knew nothing about, that it's spur of your moment. You haven't had a time to talk to them. You haven't had a time to read any of their notes, and you have to cross-examine them. So it helps so much. Law school does not teach you how to be a good lawyer. It tells you how to think. It teaches you the basics. But here I am, 11, 12 years, and I've been having a really good career. But I'm thinking I'm going to have an outstanding career because of people like Karen Smoller, who are taking it upon herself to teach her people, and now she's expanding. She's letting other attorneys, from the outside world come into this training program. Look, I've met people that have gone through these training programs. They're outstanding. People say, oh, public defenders, aren't that good. They're pretenders. You know what? These people could whoop my ass every which way in a courtroom, and I want to be their friend. You know why? Because I want to be better. I want to be able to whoop everybody else's ass. I want to be successful. I want to help people who are reaching out to me for help. And when I encounter people like Karen Smoller and the people at the Bronx Defenders, I can't say enough. I mean, amazing, wonderful, strong, tough warriors, but they're strategists with technique and skill. And it was a wonderful experience. I can't thank them enough. And I'm telling you, I'm so into it that I'm going to have another one that's a week long in May. And I'm going to talk to other attorneys about going. I don't know if anyone wants to eat humble pie, but I know that I want to be better, and I know that I want to be more confident. Well, people say, well, is that possible? I forget who said that. I think my girlfriend said that to me recently. She goes, could you be more confident? I don't know if that's possible. Or maybe my old associate said that. I forgot. Casey Case said that. But the reality is, the more reps you get, the more practice you get. And the practice and the reps that you're getting in this are really real life practice. Except my client's not on the line. He's not facing the death penalty. He's not facing life in prison. It's in a mock courtroom, right? So the Bronx Defenders, 161st Street in the South Bronx, outstanding program, outstanding people. They've now opened their doors to criminal defense attorneys across the country. If you're a criminal defense attorney and you're watching my vlog, I don't know why you would, but if you were, check them out, reach out, get better. And thank you, Karen Smoller, for the work that you do, and to all of your staff for the work they do. Heather Pinkney, all these different people I learned from, Abe Hutt, all these different folks. Thank you. I can't thank you. It's a wonderful program. You guys are wonderful people, and you're kicking ass and taking names, and you're teaching other attorneys how to kick ass and take names in a subtle way. I know. Strategic, calm, get what you can from the witness. You don't have to fight every witness. You can get what you need, sit down, shut up, go to the next, and do everything you can to help your client. You don't always need the warrior aggression. I got that. Thank you again so much. I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, telling you about my CLE in South Bronx at the Bronx Defenders, and a special thank you to all those folks there. Bye-bye.